you're gauging
If
with
that
that one.
IBC tries to mess with the election,
Okay.
there will be no country here. 207 will look like a Christmas party.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say that Ruto should be worried about the situation in Kenya, on how he won or on how his party won the by-elections that were recently conducted in the Republic of Kenya. The reason I'm saying this is because several Kenyan leaders have taken the mandate of trying to write petitions directed to the International Criminal Court and the international community to keep an eye on Kenya over the next 2 years, because Kenya is headed for the general election. And what was witnessed yesterday in Kenya is something that was witnessed during the campaign trail, during the events leading to the year 2007 general election that led to a PEV, the post-election violence, that led to the death of 1,500 Kenyans. That is the number that is officially spoken about. But it is known that over 5,000 people were killed during the post-election violence of the year 2007. Why should Ruto be worried? Because now he has revealed that he will use state-sponsored goons to do the dirty work of causing chaos and mayhem during the elections. His trial was during this by-election. Now, how much goonism should Kenya be expected? Should Kenya expect to see in the 2027 general election? So much. And through this goonism that William Ruto displayed, through the by-elections that were conducted yesterday, then now the opposition will be forced also to mobilize goons to safeguard their victory and their votes in the 2027 general election. As we speak, we all know that the opposition was not prepared for what they saw. And I want to read statements that are directed to the IEBC chairman and the electoral body in Kenya by different leaders who have spoken in regards to the elections that happened yesterday, with hints that actually it's not only Ruto that might end up being on the list of the International Criminal Court, but also the newly sworn into power, the man that proved beyond reasonable doubt yesterday that he is behind William Ruto's goonism and state-sponsored vote rigging yesterday, Erastus Edon Ethekon. To start with, the Jubilee Party leader Fred Matiangi raised concerns today over reports of vote bribery, intimidation, and violence during the Thursday, November 27th by-elections. The Jubilee Deputy Party leader Fred Matiangi spoke very clearly. In a statement on Friday, November 28th, Matiangi said, "The incidents cast a shadow over Kenya's democratic progress and must be addressed urgently." However, he praised Kenyans who turned out to vote in different parts of the country where the by-elections were held. And I read the statement from Matiangi. "I applaud Kenyans who turned out in large numbers across the country to exercise their democratic right to vote. However, I'm deeply concerned by the widespread reports of bribery, intimidation, and violence in various parts of the country," Matiangi said. Matiangi argued the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and other investigative bodies to intervene, stressing that accountability must be upheld, lest this country will be sunk into chaos and violence that has never been witnessed before. And I read what he says. Such malpractices undermines the integrity of our elections and erode trust in the process and our institutions. I argue the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission and the relevant investigative agencies to play their part and bring the perpetrators to book. Political violence must not be part of our political practices. At the same time, we all look at this situation with another eye. I have told you, William Ruto is dealing with an opposition that is led by somebody who together they crafted their way to winning the 2022 general election. And that is none other than Rigathi Gachagua. Now Ruto might be in celebratory mode because he runs the state agencies in the country. He runs the investigative agencies in the country. He runs the IEBC. That is why the IEBC has remained undermined in reacting to the violence that happened yesterday and even in summoning the people that led that violence. Some of the people are known clearly to the public. Leaders from the western part of Kenya, like the former cabinet secretary of sport Rashid Echeza, who, together with Stanley Livondo, led a contingent of goons that tried to assassinate the Malaba constituency by-election candidate Seth Panyako, who was a candidate for the United Opposition. In Mbeere North, the Cabinet Secretary of Public Service, Geoffrey Ruko, led goons who took over goons that went over to capture polling stations in different parts of Mbeere North. Ladies and gentlemen, if IEBC would have been a body that is working for a better Kenya, it would have already taken measures by summoning these leaders. Even the DCI, that has always played the key role of summoning the opposition leaders, it should have taken the step of summoning the leaders that are in the government and led the violence that we saw happen yesterday. But instead of that, the National Police Service went ahead to withdraw security of the leaders that are affiliated to the United Opposition. That is the security of Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, the Kakamega Senator Boni Alwale. We have seen that happen. Another person that reacted to this matter is the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and also a presidential aspirant in the 2027 general election. That is David Maraga. And he says this: the electoral violence witnessed in the by-election and indeed in the past few weeks leading to the by-election is unacceptable and must be condemned in the strongest terms. The interference with the National Police Service and other independent institutions does not argue well for security and democracy. President Ruto's government continues to confirm that he is unable and or unwilling to carry out his foremost constitutional function, protecting citizens, a mark of a leader who has lost legitimacy to govern. Let me tell you, William Ruto deployed something that will work against him in a manner that he does not even predict. Let me ask you, what do you think? Let me ask, do you think the opposition in 2027 will sit down and allow goons to take over polling stations? Will the United Opposition allow goons to take over polling stations over the country as they were doing yesterday during the by-election? Will the United Opposition allow ballot stuffing like yes, it happened yesterday? They thought for them, because they had the concrete support of the people, that the elections will work in their favor. And that is why they never planned any countermeasures like hiring goons, like them interfering with the IEBC. They didn't do that because they were confident enough in their voters. But what should we expect in 2027? If they prepare for themselves to counter the violence that will be brought by the state-sponsored goons, what will happen in this country? the country will burn. And if the country burns, the president will be under a microscope. Remember, Ruto still has the blood of the Gen Zs in the 2024 anti-finance bill demonstration. Still, the world witnessed that happen, and they kept quiet. So they kept quiet to keep him under microscope. But now, he continues to deploy the same theatrics of violence. Ladies and gentlemen, the uprising that is going to happen, I don't know if Ruto is ready for it. If he is ready for it, he should, or if he wants to control it, the best thing that he can do as the president of this great republic called Kenya is for him to actually allow the IEBC to become independent as it was built to be an independent institution. And also to tell his leaders to keep off the violence, not to hire goons. Because if they do, I tell you, the united opposition, remember he is dealing with Gachagua. This is a man who shares the same urge that Ruto has. He has been cool, he has played cool. But behind the curtains, you might not know what that man is planning or what other leaders within the opposition are planning. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear your take, because Ruto is treading on a very dangerous path. And thus, this path might open up wounds that he is not ready for. Opening the wounds of the 2007 post-election violence. Remember, Gachagua said, if the IEBC allows itself to be used by Ruto, people are not going to tolerate that. Which means, and he said, I quote him, he said, what happened in 2007 will be like a Christmas party compared to what will happen in 2027. And the signs have started revealing themselves. So it's upon time Ruto and his people take precautions. Because yes, he is the president of this great republic. And as the president, it doesn't matter how much you hate him. He is the leader. He represents Kenya. He is the face of this country. So for this country to have a good face, the president should, warn his people to keep off the violence. Leave a comment on the comment section.